Hello, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful Friday. Today, I have a layout and video for you featuring the summer cherry box from A Cherry on Top. I am also going to be utilizing this week's sketch challenge. So every Thursday, A Cherry on Top issues a sketch challenge. You can play along and upload your projects to the message board over in the shop. And then after the week is over, a winner is announced for a little gift certificate. So it's super fun to play along every month or every week. And if you're not a scrapbooker, there is also a card sketch and like an art journal sketch. So it's super versatile and fun no matter what kind of paper crafting you like to do. One of my subscribers recently asked me to demonstrate how to use sprays directly from the bottle. So that's what we're going to do today. First, I went ahead and added some spray to a scratch paper. That's going to get that spray moving. Then I am laying down the stencil that came in the cherry box, and I am spraying in the middle. I don't want to have the harsh lines around the edges of my stencil. I want to just have kind of this messy camera design in the upper right and lower left corner. So I sprayed the mist through the stencil and then picked the stencil up and let the excess spray kind of dribble and blop onto the paper. And then I'm going to set this aside to dry. Next, I'm going to take the pattern papers from the Simple Stories collection that is included in the cherry box, and I am going to go through all the papers and choose elements from some of the cut apart sheets and also go ahead and cut some strips. So the sketch for this week, the background of the sketch looks like it could be mixed media, like a paint or something like that. It could also be a large block of pattern paper. It could also be some stamping. I decided I would interpret those strips as a couple of strips of different pattern papers. So that is what I'm going to do. So my pattern papers start off, some of them are 1.5 and some of them are 2. And I started off by cutting them at 1.5 or 2 by 10. But then when I start to put the layout together, I decide I want more of the stenciled background to show. And then I cut another 1.5 inches from the length. So my paper strips end up being either 1.5 or 2 by 10, 9.5, 8.5. So they end up being 8.5 by 1.5 or 8.5 by 2. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut apart one of these cute little tags, the little one with the ice cream. We are going in on all of the cute ice cream designs in this project today. Once I had all of the strips cut, I'm going to go ahead and work on this little tag, which is going to be part of, it's going to kind of work as a subtitle on my layout. I love this tag. It's so cute. I love the ice cream cones in this collection. We are an ice cream family. But weird fun fact, we only eat ice cream in the summer. So I'm not sure like what that means, but as soon as it starts to get warm, me, my husband, our 2 kids, and the dogs, we are like, ice cream, please and thank you. I added some hemp twine to my tag so that it was all ready to adhere into the holes. I hate naked holes. Next, I want to map my photos, so I'm going to go through this 6x8 paper pad. My photos are small. They are actually smaller than the photos depicted on the sketch, but that is totally fine. Worked perfectly for my layout today. I am going to go through this 6x8 paper pad, and I'm going to use that paper right there to map all of my photos. I wanted to choose a pattern that would give the layout a tone-on-tone feel, but I wanted to stay away from the green because I already have that solid green pattern, tone-on-tone pattern in my stripes. So, and there's green around the tag, so I was looking for something in that like light pink, orangey range, and this ledger paper was absolutely perfect for that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take a peek at all of the die cuts in the die cut pack. I'm going to find a couple that I really like. All the ice cream, the little banners. I have this little one that says, "This is the life." We're going to use that, but we're going to alter it a little bit because the arrow that's on that ephemera piece is facing the wrong way. Now that my background is dry, and I love this background, I think it has that messy mixed media kind of feel, but you can still see some of the adorable cameras. You know what you're looking at. This is where I decide that these strips are too long, and I want them to be shorter because I want a little more of those cameras to show on my background. So I trimmed another 1.5 inches off of each one of these strips, and I'm going to get them in the order that I want. And once I'm happy with this order, I am going to go ahead and rough up all of the edges of these strips. That will make them a little bit smaller, but that's okay because I like it. So I am going to rough up all of the edges using just a pair of scissors, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue each of these strips down. I am gluing the strips down with wet glue because I am working on some mixed media. I know Shimmer Mist is not like crazy mixed media, but I also know that anytime I have put tape runner onto any kind of watercolor, mist, paste, anything, you need the wet glue. Once I have all of these strips down, something you may notice immediately is that my strips are not centered onto the page. I centered them horizontally so that they are straight, but there's a bigger gap at the bottom than at the top. That was intentional, and you'll see why in a minute, because I really wanted to add that tag, and I knew that the tag was going to be a larger element on the bottom of my layout. And there's our tag. See? Perfect now. In addition to roughing up the edges of the strips of paper, I'm also going to add some foam squares to all 4 of my photographs. That will give them a little bit of a lift and add a little more dimension to my layout and give them the focal place that they need. I'm going to go ahead and tuck this little tag right here, and then I'm just going to glue down some of the little hemp tails that are on my tag. Next, I am going to start working on my title. So the title is going to be at the top right there, and what I want my title to say is Summer Treat. I knew what I wanted my title to say from the beginning. I just had to figure out where I was going to get the treat from, because that word doesn't appear anywhere in the collection, but I was kind of just looking through my scrap room trying to find something that would work for that treat, and I found perfection, the word treat on a flare in my stash. So that is going to be the second part of our word and how we're going to build our title. So the summer is from the chipboard piece that comes in the kit, and then the treat is just from my stash. I'm also going to go ahead and cut the arrow off of that ephemera piece. I love what it said. I wanted to use it. I didn't want it to be pointing off my layout, and I wanted it on the right side. So always know that when you have something like this where you have an arrow, if it's pointing the wrong direction, take some scissors and just chop it off. If it's just an arrow by itself, turn it upside down. You'll be good. But when you have things that have words, then you kind of have to be a little bit more creative. I'm going to use tons of all the ice cream, right? So I have popsicles and an ice cream cone to kind of layer up with the tag. I have the sticker that's going to go underneath my title. And then I'm going to use this little banner piece, and I actually end up putting it right underneath the summer right there. And then I also have my little chipboard piece, and I can put the This Is the Life ephemera piece right on top of the chipboard, and I didn't have to add any foam squares or foam tape or anything to keep it at the same level as the pictures. So chipboard worked well for that. And I didn't do it, guys. I didn't pull the backing off of the chipboard. I know it's so weird for me, but I didn't do it. Mostly because when I used that chipboard piece, I needed the lift, right? And I was like, oh, okay, well, it'll work then. And the chipboard seemed to be sticky. It seemed to stick pretty well, which is another thing that always gets on my nerves. But that seemed to be pretty sticky, so we were good. I left it there, gave it a good press down. It appears to still be on my page. If I come back in a month or two and I'm flipping through my album and there are chipboard letters in the bottom of my page protector, I'll just roll my eyes and glue them down with wet glue. Once I had all of this adhered to the page, I'm going to grab some of the sequins that come in this collection. The sequins are these gorgeous holographic silver. You guys know. If you have been around, followed me anywhere for any length of time, you know that I am a sequin girl. So we are going to go ahead and add little sequin details to all of our clusters. I also came in and added 2 more flares so that I didn't just have that one that worked as my title, but I had 2 more to balance it out on my page and complete the little visual triangle there. And that is where we're going to call this layout done. If you have not grabbed this cherry box, I highly recommend it. It's so fun for summer. It's not all beach and pool, but it's just a lovely, lovely collection of products. I really, really enjoyed playing with it and creating this layout for you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone. I will see you back again very soon. Bye.